What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, talk about big data coming out for tomorrow and what the charts are suggesting as well. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or sign up to my QR code that's right over here. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of the stock. Deposit $10,000 to get $300 worth, and deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. You also qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, which includes a 4.1% APY base rate plus a 4% APY extra for 3 months. The offer ends very soon in just a couple of weeks, so check out my links down below to get access to free Nvidia stock to qualify for all of that. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the stock market. So when we look at SPY, as you guys can tell, we're just trading sideways right now. We got this nice push to about that 646 area, came back down towards 642, bounced back up. We dipped a bit with PPI data, and then we bounced again. So we're just trading sideways for the time being like this. This is all we're essentially doing. And we're going to see if SPY can break this all-time high near this 646 resistance to break out more, or if we're about to get a big rug pull depending on what we end up seeing. Well, tomorrow is going to be quite wild because we have lots of option expirations. We have a boatload of options expiring. Tomorrow is going to be August 15th, and keep in mind that we have about 800,000 or almost 800,000 calls expiring, and we have over 3.2 million puts expiring, putting max pain at 625 with the 4.09 put to call option ratio. So keep that in mind. That's what we're seeing at least thus far. Now, I also want to add that as far as things are going, we're going to be looking to see what else ends up happening with some data coming out. And for the time being, we're going to break down the levels in just a couple of minutes. So the first thing I want to say is that the market did get a sell-off in the morning. We saw SPY dump all the way down to about 641, only to get bought back up because the PPI numbers were not good, which goes to show how inflation could be changing very, very soon. When it comes to PPI, okay, PPI month over month was at 0.9%. That's well above expectations. We were expecting 0.2%. That's for all items. For core PPI month over month, we're expecting 0.2 to 0.1%. Instead, we got 0.9%. That's well above expectations. We got initial jobless claims. This was kind of flat, not really affecting the market too much. But then core PPI year over year was at 3.7%, the highest we've seen in years, and that is well above what we were expecting, between 2.9 and 2.7%. It's actually about 1% higher than expected, which is a big, significant piece of data. And then we had PPI for all items year over year at 3.3%. We were expecting 2.5%, so this was also very hot. This is a sign that wholesale inflation is going up, and there are lots of times when we start to see other changes. There's lots of times when we tend to see PPI lead CPI in a lot of different ways. That has happened many times historically, so we're going to see how it ends up going. And we have to be very, very patient, at least nonetheless. On top of this, I just want to add that when it comes to tomorrow, we essentially have some retail sales data in the morning before market open. Then at 9:15 a.m., we have industrial production and industrial manufacturing numbers coming out, alongside the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report at 10 o'clock a.m., which could cause some volatility. So expect some volatility at 9:15 a.m. and 10 a.m., and that's going to be very, very important for tomorrow, not to mention because we have lots of data coming out. Wholesale inflation is up quite a bit. It's actually the highest increase we've seen since February. And once again, economists are being very, very patient right now. The expectation of higher tariffs, not to mention seasonality, are what's causing this to go up. So when it comes to seasonality, we typically see big increases or some increases in inflation during the summer period. And then with President Trump's tariff threats and some tariffs being imposed in July, that also played a big role. On top of this, the producer prices in July are surging. The tariffs are playing somewhat of a role. This is what the Fed was telling us about. When it comes to CPI data, all items CPI was flat, but core CPI went up quite a bit. So even though we are seeing an increase in CPI, it's possible that this is just the beginning. There could be even more increases to come once we get to August. So be very, very careful, guys. The next CPI could be hot as a result of this PPI. The market is not really phased by this quite yet. The market's still holding up for the time being, but Keep that in mind. That could be very, very important for the Fed. It could complicate things for the Fed as well. So keep that in mind. This is making all the headlines. President Trump mentioned that he is going to continue to negotiate with China. There's lots of negotiations to come, and there's also going to be a lot of negotiations with Russia. He did make that very, very clear. And then he also made it very, very clear that he claims that the inflationary risk is not really there and that we're going to be completely fine. So we'll see if that ends up being the case or not. We have to wait and see what the data suggests first. I'm not going to make a prediction or a promise about that. So we just have to wait and see. And then when it comes to earnings, there's not really a whole lot coming out. We have very, very minor earnings so far for today and tomorrow. Right now, there's still greed in the markets that's making up the majority of sentiments. Momentum is at greed, and our other indicators like the put-to-call option ratio are dipping, and the VIX is still at a neutral position, still way down here. So keep that in mind. When it comes to the overall options chain, we have lots of puts expiring and a very high puts to call option ratio. So we'll see what that leads to. And overall, the market is still holding up quite decently. So if you're bullish on SPY heading into tomorrow, we want to see us break and hold 646. If we break this, we're looking for an attempt to break out higher for 648. Once again, continuing to break to all-time highs, but we need to hold above 646 tomorrow to be bullish. If you're bearish, you want to see SPY basically kind of like hit liquidity and then dump and lose 642. If we lose 642 and break below this trend line, we could be dumping back down towards 638. And then even all the way down to like 635 if that fails us, we could be looking for a downside move if that fails. The daily is looking a bit more in favor of bulls, so we're still doing a great job at holding up, and we're doing quite well so far. And then when you look at the 4-hour time frame, when you really kind of like zoom out, you can see we're still making higher highs and higher lows. We're on a very, very nice uptrend so far. I think we're doing a great job, at least for the time being. So keep that in mind, especially as time goes on. We're still holding up very, very well. The trend is still bullish until we break 640. There's no sign of us losing that yet. So for now, the chart favors upside. We'll see what happens with retail sales and the manufacturing numbers in the morning. So be prepared for that. This chart suggests we might be testing the all-time high, coming down, just kind of trading sideways, but we still are holding up well, and there is an attempt to push that should be coming, unless we end up losing 642. But for now, even a hot PPI is not really enough to get the market to tank. The market still held up quite nicely, so we still favor consolidation and possibly some upside if we break resistance for the time being. I could change my mind if we lose 642, but as of right now, we're favoring consolidation and possibly some upside, especially with all the shorts expiring for tomorrow. On the QQQ, it's the same thing. We're basically trading sideways. As we essentially hit the low 580s, we like to reject. As we hit the very, very high 570, so like 578, we like to bounce, right? So I think that we might be testing 578s tomorrow for a small dip, then we could actually bounce off that, and we're just kind of trading sideways between 578 and 582. So could we dip to 578? Yes, but then we could bounce and just continue to trade sideways until we see which way we break, whether it's to the upside or the downside. So keep that in mind as we're still stuck in the middle. For the IWM Russell 2000, we're actually holding support very, very nicely. We have this resistance becoming support at 226. The chart is favoring an attempt to retest 230. We're going to see if we consolidate here, eventually try to break through this. If we lose 226, we could be dipping a lot more, but as long as we hold this, we could consolidate and try to bounce. So I see a retest of the 230s coming in an attempt to push higher as the most likely possibility. For ES, we're looking a bit more bullish in my opinion. As you can tell, we're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. We also bounced off this resistance. So if we end up essentially losing 64.60, we could be turning back down. As long as we hold this support, we could continue to uptrend for the 6500s to make higher lows. So for now, we're forming a nice accumulation. We could be looking for it to push higher for 65.25. So I think we're doing a fantastic job. For NQ, we're looking more bullish. Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. And for now, as long as we could hold at 23,800, we're actually going to be favoring an attempt to bounce back up. If we lose support here, we could be dipping to 23,695 to dip. But for now, we're actually favoring some sideways price action between 24,000 and 23,800. Then we'll see if we turn down or up depending on which direction we choose. But I see some sideways price action on NQ for the time being. Bitcoin has a bearish divergence, but despite seeing this dip, it could be retesting 120,000. We'll see if we break through this to push higher, or if we turn back down to trade sideways. So I see some sideways price action between 117 and 120,000. For Tesla, we're in the middle. So basically, if Tesla fails at 330, I'm going to be looking to, once again, we're going to be looking for a big move down. But if we get back above 340, we're looking for an attempt to push back up to 345. We're in the middle for now, so look for a small push, and we'll see how it goes as we trade sideways. But I do anticipate some sideways price action on Tesla. We might be pushing back up to 340, returning to 333, and just continuing to trade sideways. If this is a lower high rejection, though, even if we trade sideways for a bit, there could be some downside coming in case we lose 330. So keep that in mind. I see a lot of chop and some potential downside. Nvidia is very choppy. As we tend to hit 183, we like to bounce. As we hit 180, we like to basically, I'm sorry, as we hit 183, we like to reject. And as we hit 180, we like to bounce. So we could test 183 and just continue to trade sideways like this until we see one of these directions break up or down. So give this the time it needs. For Apple, we might retest 228 and we'll see if we bounce off that or not. I do see some consolidation between 228 and 232. And we'll see if we break up or down. I just see some consolidation tomorrow, not really a whole lot else going on with this chart. On the other hand, we have Netflix looking a bit more bullish. We have an inverse head and shoulders like setup. We could be dipping a bit lower back down towards 1200, and we'll see if we bounce back up to 1250. So give this the time it needs. MSTR is also trading sideways right here. If we hold support right here around 365, we could be looking for an attempt to push to 385. But if we lose this, we could be dipping, so I'm favoring an attempt to push to 384. Celsius is bullish. It's making higher highs and higher lows. If we lose 54, we're looking for a dump. As long as this holds, we're looking for an attempt for 57.5. For Supermicro, we're also trading sideways. We have support down here around 44, and we have resistance at 47. So I would not be surprised if we retest 44. Attempt to bounce, we just continue to trade sideways until we try to bounce, so give it the time it needs. Palantir is trading sideways. We could be dipping to 178, and we'll see if we bounce, but I do see some downside between 178 and 175. Rivian has a nice accumulation right here. I want to see us break 12.31 to start pushing for 12.6. If we lose 11.8, we're looking for a dip, but I anticipate some consolidation. We'll see if we break out higher. SoFi is making higher lows, at least for now. As long as we don't lose 22.4, we're looking for 24 as a potential target for some upside. AMD has an inverse head and shoulder. So long as we don't lose 177, we're looking pretty good. We might retest 177 here. We'll see if we bounce again. Overall, look for a small dip to 177. We'll see if buyers defend. ARM is rejecting here. It might be dipping back down to about 135, and we'll see if buyers defend. So look for some downside. For PayPal, we have a double bottom. We might be retesting 70. Might be a small push to 70 and some consolidation. Coinbase is also consolidating. If we end up losing essentially 316, we're bearish. If we break 332, we're bullish. We're just stuck right now. Look at the last 3 days, back and forth price action. So it might just continue to chop around before potentially going higher. Since we have a nice accumulation, we'll see how it goes. Amazon looks a bit more bullish to me. It depends. If Amazon loses 227, we're looking for a dip. As long as we hold this, we could continue to uptrend. We're looking for a 10 for 235 as our target. Meta is technically trading sideways. It might be tipping back down to about 775, and we'll see if we bounce. Watch 775 to 770, and we'll see if buyers defend. Google might be retesting 202, and we'll see if we bounce. So look for a small dip, and we'll have to see how that goes. Microsoft is also trading sideways here. We have resistance around 527 and support down here around 510. Look for a test of 527. We'll see if we bounce or not. DJT is also making an inverse head and shoulders. It could be trying to retest 18. The VIX is technically on a downtrend. We're going to see if this gets back above 16 or not. We're technically making lower highs and lower lows. So we'll see if we get back above 16 or not, or if we continue to downtrend. For now, there's a gap to fill, so I do think it dips a bit as the market tries to push, and then we trade sideways. The 10-year is kind of flat, so is the dollar, not really doing a whole lot. Even crude is kind of flat. There's not really much going on right now. So the market's very resilient. Even with the hot PPI, we're getting bought back up. We might see some sideways price action tomorrow, but there is going to likely be an attempt to go higher if we could break 646. So far, the chart's favoring upside a bit more. There might be some sideways price action on SPY between 646 and 642 before this attempts to break out even higher. The QQQ might be retesting 578 before it tries to bounce again, but this is looking a little bit more choppy than SPY. So keep that in mind, especially as time goes on. The market is holding up very well, and the bulls have a bigger edge for now. So don't forget to just play the charts and watch your levels just to be safe. We'll see what happens with the industrial manufacturing numbers coming out for tomorrow, what happens with our Michigan consumer sentiment data. So give this the time it needs. With that being said, guys, I want to make this video shorter than usual. I'll be back tomorrow morning with another update. Until then, I wish you all nothing but the best. I thank you all so much for watching these videos. Have a good one, guys. Have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world. And I will see you guys once again tomorrow before the market opens. Take care. See you soon, and peace out.